Everyone, welcome to the CT2V Rulebook Dissection. I do believe we are on, I think we're on week 11, okay? So, here we go. All right, I'm on page 20. This is talking about the competitive classes, and we're on trail, okay? So, I know a lot of associations that have a trail division. It's typically in an arena and it's just white timbers. That's not what we mean whenever we say trail. We mean you're actually out there on the trail, okay? So, let's go through these 5 bullet points. Okay, bullet point number 1 says trail course is to include a minimum of 2 miles of actual natural terrain trail, okay? If we ever have someone that wants to host this and they just have like a mile and a half or something, they need to contact us and we can work around some stuff, okay? We could probably have you do part of the loop again or something. Or we could modify it for the following year, okay? So the next thing is trail competition will consist of 6 to 10 natural trail maneuvers. Okay, so remember in Country Tough Trail Versatility, we have trail, we have obstacles, we have ranch horsemanship. Okay, so on the obstacles, we call each one of those an obstacle, but on trail, instead of calling it an obstacle, we call it maneuvers, just so it helps you know if we're talking about trail or if we are talking about obstacles. So it says 6 to 10. Most of the time I do 6 because I can typically get I usually have my head judge and then 2 supporting judges for a total of 3. And I typically divide those up. Each judge typically has 2 maneuvers that they would judge. Like for example, you might go out on the trail and the first judge might judge a ditch crossing and a side pass. Then the next judge might judge an uphill and a walk away from the group. Then the next judge might have a back and L and a go through some dead logs, which is called a deadfall, okay? So typically it is 1 judge, 2 maneuvers. I could change that up if I have 1 judge that does something that is time consuming and then another judge has 3 things that are flow obstacles, so they would be, or not obstacles, maneuvers, so they would be fast. I might have it be where it's 1 and 3, so that 2 per judge is not set in stone. It's just the flow that it has been going so far. I think my competitors would freak out if I actually had them do 10 maneuvers out on the trail, because a lot of people don't realize that that would just mean that I would have to have 4 or 5 judges, hopefully 5, and then everybody does 2. So anyways, things that, goals, I would like to have that for at least the national championship. Just, it's really hard to get judges and it's really hard to get people to commit to stuff. So, 3rd bullet point, it says, as an example, the trail competition may include maneuvers such as backing, side passing, halting, inclines, declines, gate changes, log crossings, water crossings, and traveling through natural trail. We've had it where people just needed to, the things that have messed people up the most before, and now people are getting better at it. And it even messes me up on some of my horses and mules, but is leaving a group and then we have you turn around and then that animal realizes that they are no longer with the group. So that's kind of leaving the group. And sometimes we'll have the group leave you. So just changing up. It's really good to have an animal that's not too buddy sour, because on a safety standpoint, I've had someone that had gotten hurt on trail before and I had to leave to go get help. And if I would have been on an animal that couldn't have left the group, it would have been bad. So anyways, it's always good to be able to leave your group. And I do know that on a safety standpoint, whenever it is time and you need to make it happen, Your horse will sense that, and you'll be a better leader anyway. So anyways, nothing to do with CT2V, just a little side tangent there. All right, next thing, all youth competitors must be accompanied by an adult. So we can't have just kids out there without an adult, because sometimes they act bad, or sometimes their horse acts bad, and you know, you've got a child on another animal with another brain, so need to have an adult there. All right, next thing is when trail is not able to be on trail. Let's say that we got a freaking gully washer, okay? It's like super wet here. An alternative trail will be set up in the arena or in the field with individual maneuvers and groups. Okay, so trail is, we usually have groups of 4. Last year we played with groups of 5, and that worked out well also. But we'll have you staged to where whenever you sign up for trail, there's blocks where you have to know the person's rider number and their name, and you go together as a group, okay? Well, so here's the deal, is if it rains and we're not able to do trail, which I will tell you, boo. If we're able to do trail on the trail, people love it. Even if it's been drizzling a little bit, most people would prefer that, okay? But if it rains, okay, we will still have you come up and you get your write-up of the maneuvers you're going to be asked to do that day, and then you have 20 minutes until you're ready to go. You're able to ask questions of the person that gives out the form. Now, typically I try to make that myself, because I'm the strongest person about knowing our rule book or having to make a decision about something. And I will tell you, before, with my husband and I doing these, so here we go, confessions of a CT2V host, okay? I have had it before where my husband and I, we went out there and I said, here's what I want you to do. But then whenever the way that he processed it was not the way that I had seen it in my mind, okay? So then whenever people come and picked up their trail sheets, and then I explained what they needed to do, but then whenever they got there to the actual thing, wasn't like that at all. It was actually like a backing thing that we had them do in the woods, okay? Well, what I had told them to do and what was actually asking them to do was 2 different things. And so we actually removed that trail or maneuver from what was judged overall, because it was so off, okay? So we've made mistakes there, and we just, we're always having to catch ourselves in motion, because with a versatility thing, there's too many different little irons in the fire, and sometimes we mess up on stuff. But if there's if it's raining and we have to do the trail in the arena, it's still going to be set up the same thing, where it's small groups. You get your paperwork the same amount of time before you would go out. And the reason that we do that is because I want to increase the amount of fairness that everybody has. I will tell you, whenever I used to compete in a different association, they did a walkthrough together for everyone, okay, at the same time. Well, then I got to watch several competitors, and I was like, ooh, they're really stinking it up on this, right? And so I went away and went back to my truck, and I got, it was everybody, the specific example I'm talking about was a piece of plywood that had a black circle on there. I went and got my freaking floor mats out of the truck, and then my animal didn't want to step on those either, but by the time I got done, I had treat trained him real fast, so he was one of the few horses that actually stepped on that black circle on the plywood, okay? So something that I love about CT2V and our trail is that everybody gets the same amount of time to prepare before they go. It makes it more fair for the earlier competitors. In that other association, they had a large group and I was one of the last competitors. So I actually wanted to just try to make it just a little bit more fair. So that's the way we do CT2V. All right, key points. No jumps will be higher than 22 inches. Yeah, if you're wanting to do big jumps, there's other sports to do big jumps in. Will you have to jump? You never have to do anything. You never have to do anything. If there's something that you're going to get yourself freaking hurt in, you need to not do it, okay? You need to like work up to it, and it doesn't have to be at a competition. We do have people jump things, but it might be 1 or 2 things a year typically. It's not a lot. So it's never going to be super tall. Oh my gosh. Next bullet point, no equine will be required to swim. Okay, yeah. Once again, that is out of the parameters of what the heck we're trying to do here, okay? We're trying to make you safe on trail. We're not trying to have you like have to jump off your horse and swim across something, okay? Out of our parameters. All right, next thing is a mounting block will be present if any obstacle requires mounting or dismounting. Note, host is reserved the right to have you mount or dismount on natural features like a stump or a rock or a log. Okay, so sometimes the mounting block that we will require will not be a mounting block that we purchased. It would be something that was on the property. So, and I've had people mount from rocks. I've had them mount from railroad, my dad calls them cross ties. We've had people mount from down trees. So, all right, next one. If a competitor chooses to pony a second entry, okay, if you are signing up for that pain in the butt, okay, you have 1 minute. 1 minute is given to dismount and mount. Second equine must have their own tack to ensure time efficiency. We ain't got time for you to be like, oh, I really like this saddle better than the other one, switching saddles. We ain't got time for all that. There's only like 20 minutes between each group, and you've got to get your freaking maneuvers done and then move on. Okay, we don't have time for you to do a whole bunch of stuff. Competitors are allowed to have a different rider, pony, or ride the other equine. So if, like sometimes we had a youth competitor when we first started CT2V, and she wanted to compete on 2 horses. Well, you know what? It was better if she didn't really pony the other one. Ponying can get people in a bind real fast, okay? And we're all about growth. She actually had her grandpa ride the horse, the other one, and then they would switch at the maneuvers whenever they would get to the judge on trail. So we're okay with that. Or somebody else can pony it. It says that competitors are allowed to have a different rider pony or ride the other equine. That's not cheating. That's just trying to keep people safe. If you've ever seen anybody get a lead rope underneath the tail of a horse that's not used to being ponied, yeah, you'll understand why we put that rule in there. Is to make sure everybody comes back alive. All right, next one. A host is required to have a mounting block at each obstacle on the trail. That's because people could have, they could be doing a second entry, or, you know what, if somebody's got to do something like, their tack's jacked up, we need them to, every competitor to be able to get back on their horse. All right, so obstacles. Let's go on to that. So that was all about trail. I love our trail. I mean, like, that's why trail's in the name of this association, is because we're trying to add value to an animal instead of people just saying, oh, it's just a trail horse. We want them to be like, it's a trail horse, and like love and honor that horse or mule. All right, so I do love our trail section. Obstacles. I'm on page 21, okay? So here we go. The obstacles are to be practical and a return to the cowboy. The obstacles should be something you would see in a real life situation or a simulation that mimics real life, okay? We're not trying to be Captain Crazy over here. We're not trying to be Captain Chaos. We're trying to be normal and calm, okay? And nothing wrong with the Captain Chaos stuff. We're just trying to do something different. Like, I've taken 3 animals through mounted police training. That's mounted police. This CT2V. Okay, so trying to this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to be like the calm, cool, and collected ones. Okay. So, well, I gotta scratch my leg. Okay. Next thing. I look weird me coming forward. All right. Next bullet point. It is important that as time passes, the obstacle difficulty does not increase each year. This creates unrealistic expectation for future competitors. Okay, so I will tell you, whenever I used to host for a whole bunch of other associations, I felt like I really had to make stuff harder the next year because they had a lot of return people. Well, I just wanted to, I really should have brought a water over here. I wanted to make sure that they knew, like, I put that in there for people that are new to CT2V because I don't want them to be like, oh, that lady's already done this for 3 years. You know, like the obstacles are going to keep getting harder and harder because a lot of times they did just keep getting harder and harder in other associations. So I like to I want people to grow out of CT2V or get a different horse and help. I want us to be the one that helps develop those younger horses. I want us to be the association that keeps people competing at an older age. I want us to be an association that is friendly for people that might be in their 50s and never freaking competed before, right? I want to be an association where you can take a 15-year-old horse that's basically got the brain of a 2-year-old and you can develop that horse, you know, and so that's what I'm trying to do here. I don't want it to just each year get harder and harder and harder and harder. I want it to, I want the obstacle level to be nice for people that are coming into CT2V new. All right, next thing, coaching is allowed during walkthroughs for all divisions. So if you have a trainer or coach, or you got a parent, or you've got a child that's a better horseback rider than the parent is now. We have whatever. You got a spouse that's not a competitor. They can come out there and do the walkthrough with you. So, hey, my mother-in-law just piped in. She's going to hear me being goofy. Anyways, but coaching is allowed during the walkthroughs, you know, so you can get you a strategy and get everything all figured out for success. Okay, there we go. I didn't know what word to say. All right, next one, prohibited obstacles. This is going to be a really cool part for y'all to listen to. So first thing, plastic swimming pools unless used for a drag. Okay, so those plastic swimming pools, you know, you can get for like $16 at Walmart or whatever that are outside the building. You know, all the little kids love those and adults, whatever. But, man, sometimes those things, your horse can step through that and their hoof is at an angle. And then if they pull back, that swimming pool just became something going to try to kill you, okay? Your horse is going to be scared to death. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you got to put carpet down in the bottom. Well, a lot of times at the edge of that carpet on the side of that little kiddie pool can still become fragile. I'm just trying to keep y'all from dying and for your horse to not think that we're trying to, you know, assassinate it with a freaking kiddie pool. So, and I've actually been on the cover of a magazine walking through a kiddie pool. So, but I didn't host that event, but I don't like those, and a lot of people don't, and it's just better for you. Airwaves, those are those big things, and I used to have a couple of them. I actually sold them to the mounted police trainer, okay? And I used to do those whenever we did obstacles, but that's those things that, like, if it's like at a car sales place that's flapping around all in the wind, those things are loud, and that thing is unpredictable, and a lot of people are just unaware of the danger that those things can create. And those are in other associations, and you can go do those or buy one for yourself. But those things are nuts, and your horses, that can get bad real fast. So you're just on your own on that one. We're not going to do airwaves because I don't want to have to buy it also. And plus, the cord could get in the way. A horse, if it has a loose shoe, could get that cord tucked behind their foot, and you know that thing's got electricity going through it, and your horse has got metal on its feet. Like, that's just a bad equation for stuff I don't want to be in, okay? Next thing, jumps that are on fire, okay? I love going through fire. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I'm actually supposed to shoot fire from my mule if it gets approved. You know, mounted archery. Fire just makes everything like sexy, but not CT2V. I don't want you to have to jump it. Okay, so I might have you, you know, we could do something with fire one day if I had some logs or with smoke or something like that. That actually goes right along with trail versatility, okay? But I just don't want you to have to jump it. It always worried me because a lot of times people put leg wraps on their horses, and if the person gets nervous and they have their horse stop, I could just see that being an equation for somebody being really smart about how not to get your horse burnt because they got their horse burnt. So I just don't want to have people doing that. Next thing, PVC pipe on the ground. So we're going through prohibited obstacles. So PVC pipe can get fragile, and if a horse steps on that, it becomes basically a serrated knife, okay? It will cut your horse's leg all up. And if you've ever had to deal with a cut on the back of the horse's leg close to the hoof, you will be appreciative that we don't use PVC pipe, especially for you, for your horses low on the ground. Happy birthday, Sharon Phillips. I seen you just checked in. All right, next thing is traveling through loose tires. The sidewall is acceptable. So the whole loose tire thing, man, I have seen that where, oh my gosh, I have seen before where horses got tangled up in that, and their legs, and then it's the same concept as a kiddie pool. That's just a good way to break your neck, okay? So we don't do that. Now a sidewall is just the flat side of the wheel, okay? So if we cut that off and it doesn't have that big lip that they can get stuck up into, then we will use a sidewall. We have one. I usually use that thing for, I don't know, sometimes I use it for an obstacle called the Garacha pole or the Spanish pole, where you have to put the, my connection says it's slow. Better still be working. Okay, I'll put the end of the pole there, and then you've got to spin around. So it's kind of hard to see sometimes if you get too much dirt on top of it. I probably need to, like, I don't know, not just get it cleaner, but probably put maybe white or something on there, or brown or green or something, so it helps it stick out. All right, next prohibited obstacle, tarps on the ground. I know a ton of associations use tarps on the ground. That's just the dumbest thing in the world. And I think people have just gotten used to it, you know, so they just think it's an easy obstacle. Let's get it. But boy, I have personally seen that go to hell in a handbasket real freaking fast. It's horrible. I've seen horses get on there and get to twisted, and they got locked up in there. I've seen it get underneath the hoof before, and then if y'all understand the concept of bowling, that's what every person on their horse around then was like a pin that was about to fall down, because whenever that horse lost its marbles, all the other horses were like, oh my gosh, the tarp's trying to kill us. Yeah, I've seen tarps go wrong several times. So I don't, and plus, you know what, like today, my husband put a tarp down on top of some concrete to cover up something. He had metal underneath there. He would never want a horse to step on that tarp, so you don't want to train them to be just like blindly stepping on things. Tarps are used to cover up stuff, and usually there's something underneath there that they could, hi Larry, that they could hurt themselves on. So no tarps on the ground. That's, you know what, you know who helped me with that was another president of another association, and he says that he wished that his association didn't do it, but now everybody just does it as like a cheap obstacle that's easy, and he's like, that is the dumbest thing in the world. So There we go. Next thing, shooting, unless using a cap gun or a water gun. And nothing wrong with doing mounted shooting. We're just trying to help people know that they can alleviate that from what they need to train their horse for CT2V. That is out of the realm of what we're wanting to do. And I love to shoot from my horse. I can shoot from my large Palomino KTM, and I love being able to have that skill set, but that is not for everybody. That is a desired skill set, okay? A lot of people ain't got no business. They ain't got no business shooting a gun from their horse, okay? So we're not going to do that in CT2V. But I could make you do a cap gun, and so I would practice with one of those. You can get them from Walmart. It does make a loud sound. If you don't want to buy a cap gun, you can just get 2 blocks of wood and just like smack them. I would do that from starting far away from your animal and then have somebody else hold your horse and then smack it and then get closer. Don't do it right by their ears and stuff. That would just make you a jerk. Okay, don't do that. And love them in between when you're getting closer. If they start reacting, then you need to stop at that point until they become comfortable. So, next thing, obstacle competition guidelines. All right, possible obstacle examples: backing, rope gates, gate transitions, roping, dragging, bridges, pick up feet, raincoat, mount with mounting block, mailbox, okay, all sorts of stuff. If a competitor has an unscheduled dismount, they may continue. A lot of times if you come off your horse, you're just disqualified in different associations. That's not very country tough. You know, if you fall down and get hurt, it's okay to stop. But if you can get back up, a lot of times, especially young kids and stuff, they just bounce. Anyways, if they are not able to continue, the competitor will get credit for what they are able to complete. Isn't that nice? Like if you got to obstacle number 7 and then your horse decided that it was done, you'll still get those points. You could still end up, I mean, you're not going to get first or second unless everybody really stunk it up that day, but you're still not going to be out for versatility. So, because you'll still get credit for what you got done. What else is there? Oh, rider has 1 minute to regain control. So take a second. And then just a few more. It says no jumps will be higher than 22 inches. No equine will be required to swim. Once again, we're out of the realm of what the heck we're doing. If necessary, a mounting block will be present. If an obstacle requires mounting or dismounting, note, we reserve the right to have you use a stump or a natural feature, a log or whatever. And then no points for time will be awarded. You're welcome. I used to compete in the EXCA, and a lot of the points are time dependent. And whenever you want to go faster and up the ante, there is the EXCA, there's the UHCA. There's all sorts of associations that go a lot faster than us, and we're just trying to be the one that you don't get points for that. Maximum amount of time is 7 minutes. So we're not rushing you, but we can't wait for forever. Okay, so you get 7 minutes. Some of our things usually take 3 or 4 minutes, you know, unless I'm got you doing a lot of stuff like opening gates or backing or roping. That eats the clock up. All right, ranch horsemanship, and this is the last of page 22, then we'll be done with this. Ranch horsemanship, so CT2V has the honor of incorporating patterns with permission and encouragement from the Missouri Ranch Horse Association, so MORA. It is the competitor's responsibility to know each pattern assigned to their division prior to the competition. Hey, I don't know if you got to see this, but we're going to do them in order this year of 1, 2, 3, 4. So competition 1, we'll be doing ranch horsemanship 1. Competition 2, that's in May, will be number 2. Competition 3, that's in June, will be the 3rd one. And then the 4th one will be in July. And then at Nationals, we do 2 patterns. So we're going to do number 1 for sure, because that one's real fast. That's the one that's on the rail. It's not fast speed. It's just the transitions don't take that long. And then in July, after y'all have done all of the new patterns this year, for the people that are returning, then you'll get to vote in July of which pattern you would like to do for nationals, and we'll do majority. So y'all pay attention if you like number 2, 3, or 4. So I realize now that this right here is actually, I messed up on this because we didn't get our patterns just from MORA. We also got them from like the American Paint Horse Association this year. There was like a couple of associations and I just threw a bunch of the patterns together, but they were all national associations. And then we modified them for our gaited horse friends and mule friends. So all ranch horsemanship patterns have adapted terms for gaited horses with the interchangeability of trot for slow gait and extended trot for extended gait. So you'll see on the patterns it says trot / slow gait because we have so many people. This is an open show, so we needed to be able to have terms. Not all the terms, because I know like Pasofino terms are different, but at least we acknowledge the gaited terms as good as we can. Okay. And then cones will be placed at a few of the transitions locations in the pattern. So this is new this year. If you're returning, if you are new to CT2V, this would be something that will be new for everybody, okay? But on the patterns, we don't have cones at everything, at every transition. You'll see at our next one of these that I'm talking about, there's some of the words are bolded, and then at the bottom of the pattern it tells you which numbers where the cones are going to be placed, because it's going to give you some parameters to help you with those patterns, but then it's not going to mess you up because they're in the way. All right, so this right here was going through, tonight we went through trail with key points, obstacles, prohibited obstacles, obstacle competition guidelines, and then just an intro into ranch horsemanship. Next time we will start on page 23 that has that right there that tells you which patterns to go into. And y'all have a wonderful night.